Workplace skills that actually matter. The real talk about professional development. What are workplace skills? If you Google it, you'll get about 847 million results telling you their abilities that help you succeed at work. But here's the thing. That definition is about as helpful as telling one to just be yourself when they're nervous about a job interview. In today's workplace, skills aren't just nice to haves. They're your survival toolkit. And I'm not talking about knowing how to work the fancy coffee machine, though that's definitely a bonus, or mastering the copy machine, though that can be difficult. I'm talking about the skills that separate the people who thrive from the people who just exist at work. The warning signs when skill development goes wrong. Before we dive into what works, let's talk about what doesn't. I've seen too many organizations approach skill development like they're checking boxes on a corporate to-do list. Let me share some real examples with names changed to protect, the guilty. Example 1, Marcus and the mandatory training trap. Marcus works for a company that requires everyone to complete 40 hours of professional development annually. Sounds great, right? Wrong. Marcus picks the easiest online courses he can find. Introduction to Email Etiquette and Basic Time Management 101. Then clicks through them while responding to actual emails. He gets his certificate, HR checks their box, and absolutely nothing changes about how Marcus works. Example number 2, the team that trained everything except what mattered. Department B spent their entire training budget on a fancy leadership retreat with trust falls and team building exercises. Meanwhile, they're still using spreadsheets from 2015 to track million-dollar projects, and half the team doesn't know how to give constructive feedback without someone crying in the bathroom afterwards. What's the result? Wasted money, frustrated employees, and the same problems that existed before, just now with matching t-shirts from the retreat. The real impact of skills gaps. It's bigger than you think. When we don't invest in meaningful skill development, the consequences ripple through everything. There are 5 major areas where this shows up: productivity crashes, team dysfunction, individual stagnation, leadership credibility loss, and cultural decline. Productivity crashes, the business reality. Poor skill development doesn't just affect individual performance. It tanks entire teams. When people don't have the skills they need to do their jobs effectively, everything slows down. Projects take longer. Quality suffers. Deadlines get missed. And here's the lovely part. Everyone knows it's happening, but nobody wants to be the one to say, hey, maybe we should actually learn how to do this properly. Team dysfunction, when skills don't match needs. Teams fall apart when skills gaps aren't addressed. You end up with Grant always doing traffic control because he's not fully trained in anything else, and George standing at every tailgate safety meeting quietly because he's never learned how to speak up. The workload becomes uneven, resentment builds, and trust erodes. Individual stagnation, the career killer. Here's what nobody talks about. When organizations don't invest in skill development, they're essentially telling employees their growth doesn't matter. People stop trying to improve because what's the point? They become disengaged, stop taking initiative, and eventually leave for somewhere that actually cares about their development. Leadership credibility loss, when leaders can't lead. Leaders who don't prioritize skill development lose credibility fast. When your manager can't give you feedback that helps you grow, can't coach you through challenges, and can't model the skills they expect from you, why would you respect their authority? Leadership becomes about a title instead of competence. Cultural decline, the organizational shift. Organizations that don't invest in skills create cultures of mediocrity. Innovation dies because people don't have the skills or motivation to try new things. Problems don't get solved because nobody knows how to approach them systematically. The culture becomes about doing the minimum instead of excellence. So, what actually works? The real strategies. Now let's talk about what actually makes a difference. Forget the big business buzzwords. Here's what works in the real world. Make it relevant. And I mean really relevant. Stop asking people to learn skills they'll never use. Instead, identify the specific challenges your team faces right now and build skills around those. If your team struggles with difficult conversations, teach conflict resolution. If the team results just barely are correctly done, teach accountability and expectations to not only them, but also their leaders. If meetings are a waste of time, teach facilitation skills. Create learning that sticks. Most training fails because it's a one-and-done event. Real skill development happens through practice, feedback, and repetition. Instead of sending people to a 2-day workshop, create ongoing learning opportunities. Introduce a topic, talk about it, explain why it's important. Then demonstrate it and give them time to practice it themselves. Then let them debrief it. What worked, what didn't? Where do they need additional help or training to be successful? Create opportunities for weekly skill practice sessions, monthly coaching conversations, quarterly skill assessments. Use technology smartly, not just because it's shiny. Technology can be amazing for skill development when used correctly. E-learning platforms work great for knowledge-based skills. Video training is great for ensuring the overview of your training program is covered and everyone is being trained, hears and sees the same things initially. VR training is fantastic for high-risk scenarios. Mobile apps are perfect for microlearning, but don't use technology just because it's new. Use it because it solves a real problem. Use other training processes when they are most useful and effective, like hands-on, one-on-one, show and tell. Build accountability into the process. This is where most skill development initiatives die. There's no accountability. People go to training, nod along, and then go back to doing the things they did exactly the same way. Create accountability by setting specific goals, regular check-ins, and consequences for not applying what is learned. Make leaders model the behavior. If you want your team to prioritize skill development, your leaders need to be learning too, visibly. Talking about their own skill gaps, sharing what they're learning, admitting when they don't know something. Leading by example isn't just nice, it's essential. So bringing it full circle, how Marcus could actually grow. Let's go back to Marcus, who was clicking through meaningless training just to hit his 40-hour requirement. How could his organization actually help him develop skills that matter? First, they'd need to identify what Marcus actually needs to learn. Maybe he struggles with sharing ideas with leadership. Maybe he needs better project management skills. Maybe he's great at his technical work, but terrible at mentoring new staff. Then they'd create a development plan that's specific, measurable, and relevant. Instead of complete 40 hours of training, it would be share an idea, efficiency, productivity, effectiveness, with your supervisor at least once per week in an effective manner. Provide multiple learning opportunities, maybe a workshop on how to share ideas effectively, followed by practice sessions, peer feedback, and coaching from his supervisor. They'd track progress through real outcomes, not just hours logged. Most importantly, they'd make it clear that skill development isn't just encouraged, it's expected. And they'd support Marcus through the process instead of just checking boxes. So your skill development journey, what's next? Here's the truth. Skill development isn't something that happens to you. It's something you actively participate in. Whether you're an individual contributor, a manager, or a senior leader, you have a role to play. Start by being honest about your current skills. Where are you strong? Where do you struggle? What skills would make the biggest difference in your effectiveness? Then create a plan that's specific and actionable, not improve communication skills. But learn to give feedback that helps people grow without making them defensive. Find ways to practice in low-risk environments. Get feedback from people you trust. Track your progress objectively. And remember, skill development isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming a little bit better every day. Think about the people in your workplace who seem to effortlessly handle challenges, who others turn to for help, who get asked to lead important projects. I guarantee they don't get there by accident. They invested in developing skills that matter. So it's your turn. What skill will you commit to developing? What's your plan for actually making it happen? As always, carry social kindness with you everywhere you go. The world needs you and your positive mindset.